welcome back everyone to the Local Legend Cycling Podcast. Today we're thrilled to have with us a local legend of great renown, known as little brother of our cycling group, a gifted musician, a recent Ironman finisher in Cozumel, Mexico, and according to legend, a man who swam 100 miles. I'm excited to introduce Colby Richardson.
Hello.
What's
Yippee! You got your soundboard. That's good. Nice.
This is so great. I'm liking the new equipment. It's a little much to get used to, but it's like, I think it's going to be a better deal. And then if we're going to stop focusing on video as much, it'll be a lot easier to record these.
True.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, it'll be good.
But anyway, we've done this once before.
Yep.
And it got a little sideways from us.
It got late, and then we had to bring out lights for the video, and then, there were a few Budweisers going around somewhere along the line.
A Miller or two.
Couple. Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So
we're back.
Yeah, we're back. We're gonna try to go over this again, but we'll see how this goes.
Yep. Another few months down the line, just to make me forget a little bit more of my experiences.
How long ago was Cozumel?
Cozumel, it'd have been 7 months now, because it was end of November.
Yeah, and we tried this, like 3 months ago or 3 or 4 months ago?
Something like that, yep. So.
Yeah. All right, let's get into it here. Let's see. Our first question is, what got you into cycling?
I have been cycling since I was little. I grew up in Iowa, so we would spend summers going to Okoboji in Iowa, and we'd always take our bikes as a family when we went up there, and would do 10-15 mile ride one of the days at the lake. And ever since then I've always liked biking. I think I'm the only one of my family that still bikes, but I just, as I got into high school and things, just kind of bike to school every once in a while. I'd bike to band camp in the summers. Got into college, and I had, some money and things, so I ended up buying my own bike, and I used my dad's old Schwinn for quite a while. He has an 85 Schwinn that I used for a long time. Eventually got my own bike in college, and the rest is history. So, yeah, just probably been 5-6 years that I've been more seriously biking now.
So let's talk about the Ironman. Imagine you had a pretty robust training regime. You competed in a couple other events. And, just elaborate on that, I guess.
Yeah, I guess, to be honest, I didn't really have that rigorous of a training schedule. Going into it, biking was the only thing I did a lot of. Everything else, running and swimming, I had never swam before. And running, I had done cross country in middle school. So, my experience in both of those disciplines is basically zero at the starting point. The only reason I actually signed up for it in the first place was my brother and I were sitting at Christmas in, what year was that?
2023.
2023, Christmas. And he was, he's always trying to get me to do different events or things. He was into those Spartan races for a while, and like High Rocks, that sort of thing. And then he got to talking about trying to do a triathlon. And so we were sitting there at Christmas talking, and he was like, "Hey, we should do a triathlon. Like, I think we should do an Ironman." And we kind of started talking about it, and he's like, "Yeah, let's look at doing one." And so then the next day he called me, and he's like, "I think we should. I think we should just go all the way, do the full Ironman." And so I was like, "Okay, well, I think I can do it if you wanna do it." And so anyway, once we were signed up, we went swimming for the first time right at the start, and it was like death because we had never swam before. I think we did 5 laps total of a 25-meter pool, and we were completely gassed. So we were starting from literally zero there. And then, running, I think I did a 2-mile run with my brother, who had done more running than me, but also not a lot himself. And we were doing like a 12-minute mile pace and dying. So that didn't feel very good. And biking I was fine at because, that's what I was doing for years prior.
Mm-hmm.
So, going out and doing a century isn't a big deal. But, it was definitely a slow uphill climb for the other stuff. And, I took it seriously enough. Like, I knew I wanted to finish and do fine with it. But I didn't necessarily do like 2 workouts a day with 1 rest day a week sort of thing either. Like, I was consistent. I worked out probably 5 days a week, and life and other things get in the way, so it wasn't always super dedicated, but did enough that I was able to cross the finish line, which was my goal. So
yeah, swimming will definitely a completely different group set of muscles, and then running also a slightly different group set of muscles. But how was it competing on a regular bike as opposed to triathlon bike?
I think there's definitely some quality of life differences when you're on a tri bike in terms of water storage, and it is more aero.
It's also it's focusing on your hammies over your glutes, I want to say.
Yeah, when you're on the aero bars on a bike, the position is higher and more forward so that you can get power out better while you're in the aero bars.
Mm-hmm.
So I basically set up my road bike because I knew I was going to be in the aero bars for most of the time. So I set it up like you would a tri bike. So from that standpoint, like my position was fine. My efficiency was probably 90% of what it would be, compared to a tri bike. I have a tarmac, like it's not a slow road bike by any stretch. I just put on some clip-on aero bars, and it's 90% of the way there. So it was fine. To be honest, comfort-wise, it's probably better, just because tri bikes are, meant to be thin and fast and super aero, and I can fit, 28s on mine. I've never really looked into what a typical tire size would be for a tri bike, but I imagine there's not a lot of clearance there. Although everyone these days is going wider tires, so I'm sure modern tri bikes probably go, 28s, 30s, maybe even 32s. I don't know, but
they might be pushing a 28 now.
Yeah,
but they were the last one I worked on. I think it had 20 millimeter tires on it.
20s? That's crazy. I couldn't.
It was a little petite bike for a lady that was like extra small. That's the size of the bike. She might have been about 5 foot on a good day.
Dang. Yeah.
But yeah.
So I mean, in terms of comfort on the bike, like I was running 28s. I felt fine. GP 5,000 tires, nothing crazy. It's Cozumel. The road was perfect conditions, so it wasn't like I was, dodging debris or anything, but I still ran tubeless, ran it like a normal road bike other than the clip-on aero bars, and moved the seat a little for the positioning. But yeah, it was good. It was fine. It would be nice to have a dedicated tri bike, but I'm not going to go out and I'd have to spend, $3,000 to get anything better than what I have on my tarmac. Yeah. So it just wouldn't make sense for me to go do that.
Well, everybody that's ever tried to buy a tri bike off of me, I've always talked them out of it, and I've yet to sell one.
Yeah. I mean, if you're doing your first try, I think you'd be better off not getting a tri bike. Even if you're only getting the bike for riding a triathlon, I would push people towards a road bike too, just because you're going to be better at joining in on group rides. And I think group riding is always, important for bike handling and learning the ropes. If you haven't done a lot of biking before, like that's kind of the best way to learn bike handling skills and people to help show you how to change a tire and things. So, just from the community aspect of, riding bikes with people in training, I think a road bike is better. And, less expensive. It's easier to sell it afterwards if you hate it. Like, I think it's just a better all-around decision.
Though, to be fair, there are some cheap tri bikes out there on Facebook Marketplace.
True. Yeah, because it's hard to sell them again. Like, you got to have the right person and the right setup, So, I mean, if you can find the right value, then by all means pull the trigger. Like, you will be probably faster and a little bit more efficient on a tri-bike, a dedicated tri-bike. But I still think, coming from somebody who enjoys biking for biking, not for doing it as a triathlon, I would push most people who are just getting into it to a road bike over a tri-bike. And that's what my brother did too. When he bought his bike, he had looked at getting a tri-bike and things, and I was like, look, if we're going to train together, like, yeah, you can train on a tri-bike with other people if you really want to, but I mean, I'm not going to want you sitting on my wheel in the aero bars, and you're not going to want to sit on a tri-bike not in the aero bars, because it's just not made for sitting in the uprights. So I pushed him towards a road bike, and I think, that was the right decision for both of us. To be honest, though, I don't know shit, because I don't know that much about tri. I'm a road biker at the end of the day.
Right. I worked on a couple of tri bikes, and I tell you, always the nastiest bikes you'll ever touch.
Because they don't do it for biking's sake. They do it for tri sake, and they don't want to do the maintenance, I bet.
No, they literally shit and piss all over them.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's
I would never.
No, it's a literal crazy. It's not like hyperbole. It's crazy.
No, yeah, exactly.
I had one that I'd worked on, and they swore up and down they washed it before they brought it in. The guys who checked it in washed it, and it was the nastiest bike. Had to wear gloves, and my gloves tore, and it was like, I'm here.
Yeah. It's the same way that, like, you couldn't get all the sweat out of your headset bearings just by washing it off. You'd have to get into the headset and wash it off. You
gotta re-grease everything.
Customers don't do that. They just pee on the bike and hand it to you.
Yeah. Yeah, if I ever get back into the mechanic space, I'm going to charge extra for tri bikes.
It makes sense, especially with all the integrated cable routing and stuff, which is sick. And if I get a new road bike, I will have integrated handlebars. But I'm sure
they're not that bad to set up, honestly.
Really?
No, it just takes a little bit more forethought and planning whenever you're routing your stuff. And you got to know a couple of tips and tricks, and then you kind of want to assemble the handlebars separate of the headset. So you'll have the handlebars are off, you'll run them through, you'll run everything through your headset, and then pile it all together. It's not bad. It just takes a little bit more planning than your average bicycle.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. Did you compete in any other events to prepare for that?
I had done no other triathlons, so no official races. I mean, I've done like bike events and things, nothing serious racing. I think I'd done one crit, so that's the only like official race I had done beforehand. Is I had done one crit race.
So no 5Ks, no swimming events, anything like that.
Nope, no tri-specific. But I think sometime in July, it was just some random Saturday. I was like, I gotta at least have done a half to know that I'm like capable of doing this, and so I went out just on my own and did, the half Ironman distances on my own, self-supported, and I did it in like, 7 hours. So, I mean, again, it wasn't like a blazing time, but it was just, went out, did it, felt totally fine, had a normal day afterwards. So figured if I could do that, if I go just a tiny bit slower and have a little bit better fitness, then the full was in the bag. So that was my strategy.
All right. Was that everything you expected it to be? Was there anything that popped up that was unexpected, or did you pretty much figure it was going to be like that when you went in to do it?
It played out similar to what I expected. In terms of like time on or time in the effort, I kind of expected it would be 15, 16 hours, which it ended up being 16:24, I think was my time. 16 hours and 24 minutes for anybody that's not familiar with how long it takes. And I had done a 150-mile ride in September, which was, I think, 14 or 15 hours. And so, just time spent and fueling strategy and things, I kind of knew what to expect for that time of effort. So nothing super crazy there. I didn't expect the swim was probably my favorite part, mostly because one, you're fresh and it's, fun and you're starting off, whatever. But two, it was Cozumel, so the water was 80 degrees and perfectly clear and, ideal conditions. It was, pretty sweet time. Also, my first time ever swimming in salt water. The buoyancy added a lot more than I expected, so that felt nice. So yeah, I mean, that was probably I guess you could say, unexpected thing. The other thing too, for the marathon, I ran probably the first 2 or 3 miles of it, and then pretty much resorted to walking the rest of it, which was just because of heart rate. And I was like, I know I'm going to finish if I walk it. Like, why push myself and maybe, risk an injury? Like, I'm just here to finish. So I ended up walking a lot of the marathon. The thing I wasn't expecting doing that was my feet weren't used to the motion of walking as they were to the motion of running. So I got bad blisters on my feet in places I didn't normally get them running, just because the motion was so different. And I'd done it for basically 5 hours at that point. Like, yeah, my feet were definitely pretty blistered up by the end. But muscle wise, like leg wise, I never had any bad leg cramps necessarily. I've not been too salty of a sweater, so I didn't feel like I had low on electrolytes ever or anything like that. Fueling, I just ate like 40 gels throughout the day, and was able to hold it down. So it worked. Trained that gut like any other muscle. I trained with the gels I used, and it worked out. So yeah, pretty straightforward from that standpoint.
Yeah, I don't know. Those gels are a little rough on my stomach sometimes. I gotta drink a lot of. I like those aqueous solutions a little bit better. They go down easier, stay down. But
fueling is something that is, well, probably one of the most personal things about those sorts of efforts. Because some people like myself, I've been pretty lucky that I can eat gels and I can do them for most of the day. And you do get flavor fatigue, and at a certain point, it's like I'm done eating gels. Mostly it's the mouthfeel to me. Like, it feels like my teeth are about to rot out of my skull. That's what I hate. Like, my stomach usually can handle it. But there are other people that could maybe get 2 down and then they're done with gels, so it just depends. And that was part of training too, was figuring out what I wanted to use, how much I wanted to use caffeine versus no caffeine gels. I ended up settling on probably half of mine were the honey stinger, like basically pure honey gels. And then half of them were, I think, goo or some other brands mixed in for just different flavor options and things. I tried to front load no caffeine gels, and then by the end I'd have a lot of leftover caffeine gels that I could take once the caffeine would start helping more. I didn't want that caffeine to be in my system all day, because then when you get to the end you don't really have the bump that you want it to give you. So that was one of my strategies. But yeah, no, that was definitely a big focus towards the race, is trying to dial in what I was going to eat for the whole thing.
And yeah, that takes some time to dial those in, because it's like I've been playing with my food regimen for the last 2 years and I'm still doing things different and trying to dial it in to get it, because I'm not able to do a sustained pace of like 20 miles an hour without burning 500 calories.
That's the secret, is no one can do it without burning 5. It's just, I mean, everybody burns that many calories. It's just like Caleb, for example. He doesn't eat very much on most of his rides, and I don't know how he does it, but he doesn't. But like physiologically, he's burning as many calories as I am on a ride.
Right.
And if I'm not over there drinking maple syrup like it's going out of style, then I'll bonk halfway through a ride. So it's definitely a learning process.
Well, I'm talking about like the available stuff. Like, you have so much. I think I've got about. I found I can go about 20 miles at a decent pace, and then I've got to eat something immediately. So if I'm going to go all day and do like 60, 70 miles, I need to start eating at about mile 5 and working my way up and keep on sustaining those calories, because I'm not a small guy like y'all. So I eat quite a bit more to go just as far.
Well, and I mean, a lot of it is, yes, being bigger definitely is you're burning more calories just because you're moving more mass. But at the same point too, like, I mean, percentage wise, we need to eat similar amounts, you know? So I think, you know, just saying like, oh, I'm a big guy, I don't need to eat as much because I've got more things available. Like, it doesn't hold true. In the same way of like, oh, I'm a small guy, like I don't need to eat too much because I'm not burning as much. Like, now percentage wise, I'm burning, similar amounts. And, if I don't plan, a good breakfast and then start eating a gel at the race line and then eat a gel, 5 minutes in, 20 minutes, that sort of thing, you wind up
you
6 hours later. Yeah.
I started dinner.
Well, true. I mean, yeah, fueling is, I mean, you can look at it at, whatever granular level you want to look at. I mean, if you're truly being like all in with performance, if you're truly looking at like super high performance, trying to get every, bit out of your training and whatever, like every meal matters. But I'm not necessarily looking to be, a speed racer. I'm not going pro anytime in my life. So, I look at it as if I'm, going to bed full and then, I wake up in the morning and eat good carbs that are going to carry me through, then, from that point, it's just get down as many calories in the ride as you can with your stomach handling it. And that's probably, I don't know, 70% of it.
Were there any crazy rules you had to follow while doing the Ironman?
Crazy rules. For anybody that isn't a triathlon person and is a biker person, you can't draft at all in triathlon. So that is one rule that's different. It wasn't like hard to follow that or whatever. It was pretty straightforward. They're supposed to be pretty particular about wrappers and trash, because essentially there's like resupply zones where you get water, food, and you can chuck out trash and whatever else. And they say like if you eat a gel between those, you need to hold on to your gel packet until you get to the next one and throw it out. I was pretty surprised how many people did not follow that, would just like throw trash out. It was actually kind of appalling. It's like, we're here in Cozumel, beautiful island. You can't hold on to a bottle for 5 miles till you get to the next spot. They just like throw it out. So I don't know. They weren't really enforcing that super hard. I'm sure there were some people that got flagged for it if there was a marshal close by. But yeah, I don't know. Seemed easy enough to me. Just hold on to your wrappers and don't draft. And I mean, that was most of it, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's funny you mentioned that. I remember at the Big Sugar last year while we were working the event, watching the pro riders come up the hill. They were riding without their handlebars and pulling their backpacks off and chucking them at their teammates, and then just blazing through the checkpoint to hit that last 25 miles to make the end of the ride.
Yeah, I've seen online where people will say like, "Why do you make a pro?" Follow those same rules of, keeping wrappers and things. And it's like, yeah, it takes 2 seconds to chuck a wrapper in a pocket. Like,
well, yeah, if you're in a tri-suit. Well, do those tri-suits have back pockets like the cycling jerseys do?
I am not 100% sure. Probably depends person to person. But I don't know. I'm of the opinion that if you're going to go out and be a pro, like as long as you're all following the same rules, then it's an even playing field. And if having having to keep track of your trash is such a hindrance that it makes racing not fun to watch, then you're doing a stupid sport. So, so I think it's good that they make the pros and everybody do that, personally.
Yeah.
Not that that's necessarily a hot take, but I just think it's funny when people online are like whining like, oh, why why do they make the pros like carry all their trash? Like, just let them throw it out and clean it up afterwards. Well, it doesn't probably get cleaned up afterwards, So,
Right.
unless you want to run a 112-mile course picking up all the trash yourself, I don't think anybody does that. So,
Probably not. They probably just drive a truck with a big sweeper on it.
they did. And, towards the end of the race, you already started seeing people coming by and cleaning up stuff. So they do, like, especially Cozumel, because it's such a sort of like natural-esque sort of tourist destination island. They were clearly sending out crews to clean up stuff. So, what's the environmental impact? Probably not that much. Like, people accidentally drop something. It's not the end of the world. But, I don't know, it just kind of seems silly to me that I would see guys, like, actively in the middle of a zone where you're not supposed to chuck stuff, just, like, readily throwing it out. Like, gosh dang it.
Yeah.
Just hold on to it. And most of those people aren't pros. They're just people like me that are there to finish. I'm like, I don't care what 2-second PR you get on this race. Just don't be a dick about it.
Anything you would have done different?
I'd have done more high intensity training. I did most of my stuff at Zone 2, mostly because running wise, early on, I pushed a little bit too hard on the pace and had some knee, like, IT band issues. And so I had to take like a week and a half of nothing, no running at least. I could still swim, and I did a little bit of biking, but I basically had to take a week and a half off running, which then set me back. And, I had to slow my pace back down and my mileage back down. So then at that point, I was like, okay, well, if I have to avoid injuries at all costs, then I better do most of my running at Zone 2. But that ended up making me, less adapted towards, doing an efficient pace for my marathon at the end of it. So I think I would have risked a little bit more, pushing harder for doing more like high intensity interval running sessions, things like that. I think it would have been pretty beneficial. Biking, I did quite a bit of Zone 2 there. I did more, high intensity stuff on the bike than I did running, for sure, just because, one, I enjoy it more, and two, it wasn't necessarily as risk of injury that way. And then swimming, I think I just, probably should have just increased volume a little bit. If I'd gone and done an extra session a week or an extra session every 2 weeks, I would have been, a lot, probably more confident, I guess, in the swimming. I don't think I really would have made up much more time, even if I, increased my pace by 5 seconds per 100 yards. You're not going to make up that much time in the swim. So I really think it's mostly just the run, where I would have, found a lot of time, just by doing some of that, higher pace, shorter distance sort of stuff. So the longest run I did before the Ironman was a half marathon. So, I mean, for reference, going from 13.1 miles being my longest ever run to then doing, the full marathon, I knew I was not going to do it fast and was not expecting that. So, like, I had the right mentality going into it of, I'm not here to push limits. I'm not here to set records. I'm just here to finish and not get an injury. And I think having that proper mentality matched with the sort of training I did, I got the result I wanted, and that was fine. But if I, wanted to go faster, I would have had to, one, have a different mentality, and two, push quite a bit harder for the training.
Mm-hmm. And just to clarify, what's Zone 2 running for you as far as speed wise?
Zone 2, most of the time it would be like 10-minute pace. And I'm not a fast runner. Like, I have friends that run who can do Zone 2 at like a 7:30 pace. And, I'm just not that guy. There are people who, have been running all their lives and do that, and I haven't done that, haven't invested the same time. And, if they get on a bike, I'll leave them behind, but they whoop me in the running, that's for sure.
Fair enough. Okay. Any advice for potential Ironman hopefuls?
Do it with somebody. So my brother and I signed up together, and 6 months into training, he had done a half Ironman in Des Moines, just kind of leading up to it to see how his training was going, and it about killed him. No, he was fine, but he had a mechanical on the bike that set him back about 20 minutes, and then towards the end of the race, I think he missed the cutoff for being an official finisher by like 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, his margin was, if he hadn't had that bike mechanical, he would have finished, I'm sure. But it did destroy him. Like, he was at the end of his limit. And so once he had done that, he decided like it wasn't smart to do the full in 6 months, which I agreed with. You know, he was busy with other things, didn't have the time to dedicate to it the way he would have needed to. So he ended up dropping out, and I was just doing it alone at that point. And I was far enough in that it's like, okay, I've already bought all this equipment. I've already spent all this time doing it. Like, we've already got the tickets to go down there. So I'm going to do it anyways. But the first 6 months, a lot more fun doing it with somebody. The last 6 months sucked because I was just doing it alone all the time. And, you know, biking and running, and there were a few things I could do with other people. But it's one thing to do workouts with somebody who has a similar goal, and you can check up every week being like, oh, how's your training going? What's the, you know, what have you been learning? What have you been doing? You know, and have that sort of camaraderie with it. It's a different thing when, you know, all the people you're riding and running with are doing different things, and, you know, they can't relate to you, you know, doing a run in the morning and then doing a swim last night, and then, you know, doing a bike workout today and then a run and after the bike ride. Like, it gets kind of lonely doing a Taco Tuesday, you know, group ride, and then having to go run 2 miles before you can eat dinner, and then everybody's like eating half of their dinner and is ready to go home by the time you get back, sort of thing, because I'm slow running. I think if you can find somebody to do the Ironman with, then it's a totally 180 experience in terms of motivation and everything there. All the other stuff, like, if you're motivated to get it done, you can do it. Like, I'd say most people within a year could probably figure out how to do an Ironman. Might suck balls, but you could probably figure it out how to get it done. But if you don't want to, you know, push that hard, set it out 3-year goal or whatever. Like, I think a lot of people could go do it. It's not something that only, you know, somebody super insane can accomplish. So, yeah.
Yeah, there are harder and much more grueling races out there.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And like, you know, people will say like, oh, you've done an Ironman? Like, that's crazy, whatever. And I'm just like, dude, once you kind of peek under the covers of what, like Doom, for example.
Yeah.
Doom is way harder. Doom is a bike race here in the Ozarks that's like a 200, 300, 400 mile, they have a couple different distances, but it's like a bike packing event. And those guys go out there and they'll ride for 48 hours with literally zero sleep. And like, that's so much harder than an Ironman, like, just in terms of purely physical. Now, knowledge-wise, I don't know. You might say they're comparable because there's 3 disciplines versus 1, but like, yeah, in terms of endurance events, an Ironman is not like the pinnacle by any stretch of the imagination. No. It's like the normie ultra endurance event.
It's literally the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
I don't remember who I was having this conversation with the other day, but I was talking about, you know, we look up to you because, like, you're this ultra fast cyclist amongst our group. And, you know, people look up to me who don't ride bicycles and think, Alex, you ride so far and go so fast and do all these things. And I'm like, have you met my friends? Because I'll pull up my Strava and show them, it's like, I rode 2,000 miles last year. What'd you do, about 6?
Oh, no. With doing the running and swimming, I probably only got like 2,500, 30 3,000. I don't really know what I got, but
I think you had a bit more than me, but we literally have people that we know that do 10.
oh yeah, yeah, and they're guys that are in their 70s. You know,
Right.
like
Yeah, no. So
Yeah.
the further you go, there's always somebody better, and there's always some more epic event that's going to push your sanity.
Yeah, and that's not to take away from, if you're really good at doing Ironmans, like it takes dedication. Like that's not, I mean, really any event. It doesn't matter if it's a 5K or it's a, an ultra marathon or whatever it is. If you're at the top of the game, like you're putting all of your time and effort and things into that. Like it takes that to be at the top of whatever your distance is. But so it's not to take away from an Ironman is definitely a hard thing, and not just anybody off the street's going to be able to go do it. But it's also not an entire personality for me either, where I'm like caught up in the Ironman is the pinnacle of human existence.
Yeah.
Not that anyone would ever treat it that way, but
Let's see. How long did it take you to recover from that race?
The energy wise, it honestly wasn't bad. Like the next day I was around, like I didn't just sleep all day. The blisters on my feet were the most annoying things, just because it was annoying to walk. So other than that, once those, I'd kind of patched those up decently. It wasn't so bad. The problem was, I got sick afterwards because I think it was my dad got sick right before the race. I got it from him, so I got sick after the race, right at the end. And then my mom got sick after me right before we went home from Cozumel. And so, I was tired and didn't really want to do anything, but I think it was mostly just because I was sick, not because of the Ironman. I would have been very sluggish the next day anyways, but it didn't help that, I got sick afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what's next? Are you planning any big events, training for anything, or general goals?
My last time we recorded this, I had not yet done Rule of 3 in 2025, because I did attempt that in 2024 and failed miserably. So my goal this year was to finish Rule of 3, the 115 mile, which I just completed. So that was kind of my most recent big goal. I don't really have anything right now that I'm like, I really want to go do this. I'd probably like to do a sub 6 hour 100-mile ride at some point.
There's that Moonlight 100 coming up.
True. I'll probably do the 50 for that because it's more of a community thing than like a race. But
yeah, no, I was definitely thinking about doing the community event or the 50 miler as well, because I didn't want to be stuck out there for 12 hours into the wee hours of the morning trying to finish.
Yeah. I think I might see if I do Big Dam Bridge this year. I might try and get in with the fast group and see if I can do a sub 6 hour 100 miles. But other than that, I just want to, I just bought a bunch of bike packing gear, bags and stuff. So I might just, the rest of the year try and do some camping and have fun with that. I don't know. I don't have any illusions that I'm fast. So I just want to have fun with it. I just want to be able to go out, be fit enough that I can go out and do like 100 miles without really worrying about it, so that I can go do like some bike packing and some other things with friends, whatever.
Yeah. Well, if you can carry about 30 pounds of gear and pedal your bike down the road at about 10 miles an hour, you're doing pretty good as far as bike camping goes.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I'd like to do, we've kind of had some preliminary talks about doing the Katy Trail. I think a fun way to do it would be to pick a 200-mile segment of it and do 3 days bike packing out one direction, and then turn around, send your gear back with somebody. I don't know if not everybody rides back or whatever, but turn around the last day on the fourth day and try and do a 200-mile ride from the far side back in a day. 150 miles is the longest bike ride I've done so far. I'd like to do a 200-miler just because, I don't know, 200 miles is cooler than 150 miles, I think. So might do that.
Well, Well,
We'll see.
200 miles is getting into that ultra distance territory.
Yeah, I'd say it is. But like the Katy Trail is so flat and it's such good like gravel that, of any 200-mile ride, it almost would even be easier than a lot of road rides, just because it's such an easy path to follow. The conditions are always ideal, in terms of the gravel is great. As long as you don't have a major headwind in whatever that direction you choose, then, I mean, I think it's pretty doable. You got refuel spots all along there, so you wouldn't have to carry a ton of food, unless you just want to, be able to move faster and carry it all on you, I guess. Probably would be a better strategy. I don't know. So, I don't know. I don't really have any major goals. Just want to go out and ride the bike and have fun.
What's your go-to piece of gear that you can't live without?
Go-to piece of gear? Oh, man. That's such a hard question.
Well, I'll give you an example of what I usually tell people. I always tell people that water bladder that I got has changed how I cycle, because it's like I drink a whole hell of a lot more water and I stay pretty well hydrated now. And it also makes carrying snacks a lot easier.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I don't really have any off the dome, at least, that are like I need to have this thing. I'll tell you I guess gear wise, something interesting I've been looking at is they've been coming out with all these electric pumps recently. And so Caleb and I were riding the other day talking about electric pumps, and I know some people that have started using them exclusively, like they don't carry a pump on their frame or anything like that. I always carry a pump on my frame, and usually I have CO2 because I run tubeless. And Caleb and I were talking about how crazy it would be to just have an electric pump and not have a spare pump that's just an acoustic one, for lack of better terms.
Pneumatic.
Sure. Aren't they all pneumatic? Technically. Anyways.
Yeah.
But
hand pump.
Yeah, hand pump. That's the right word. I would always carry a hand pump just because I want to have something to fall back on. But the more I got to thinking about it, I don't really like using CO2 with my tubeless tires, because CO2 dries out your sealant a lot quicker, because CO2 reacts with, depending on what sealant you use, reacts with the mixture in your sealant to make it harden, and so, or to make it solidify. And so I don't use CO2 if at all possible, just because I don't want to dry out my sealant early. So then I've never had a situation where I need to use CO2 to reseat a tire, which is the reason I carry it with me in case I need to reseat a tire. So within 3 years of running tubeless, I've never needed CO2, and I always carry a tube on me that if I really needed to, I could just chuck one in there. Then I got to thinking about it, and it's like, man, those electric pumps, I've used them a couple times, borrowing them from somebody else. They are freaking fast, and you can be doing other stuff while your tire's airing up, if it takes a minute at all to air up your tire. And so I recently, like 2 days ago, bought a electric pump that should be able to, in theory, top off my gravel tires from 0 to 30 pounds, which is what I run them at, 6 times, which is also phenomenal. I've never had a ride where I need to air up 6 times. Now, other people plus myself, sure, but just myself, I haven't had that happen. So and especially because if I can stop a leak before it gets all the way to flat with the dart or whatever you use to seal your tires, then I can get a lot of inflations out of it. Then I probably almost never have to take my pump off the frame, as long as the thing works. I'm never going to have to reseat the tire. So, I think that's something recently that I was kind of a curmudgeons about with the electric pumps. It's like, oh, this newfangled technology that all the kids are using these days. I was kind of skeptical about them, but I think I talked myself into changing my own mind, and I bought one. It's kind of stupid. Is a $100 stupid change my own mind, so now I have to go buy one to see if I was right.
I'll probably stick with a hand pump.
Yeah, and I don't think it replaces a hand pump. Like I have a dedicated frame pump for all of my bikes because I don't want to have to switch it out every time. And that has saved many a tires on the path that, people either don't have a pump or ran out of CO2 or, so you cannot replace a pump if you're out riding unless you're a pro and you have a domestique to, give you their bike when yours breaks, which none of us are. So have a pump, but, electric pumps are cool too, I guess. Maybe we'll see. We'll see what I think about it when I use it.
My only misgiving about the electric pump phenomenon that's going on here lately is the fact that that's another battery you have to charge.
Oh, I 100% agree. And that was one of the reasons that I didn't, I wasn't a huge fan of it was, look, how long does the battery last? Like, even if you can get a couple pumps out of it, you got to recharge it after you use it. 3 years, who's to say if that battery even works that long anymore, so I don't like the e-waste portion of it. I'm not saying it's like a perfect solution. I think in time they will get better and better. And I do agree that I don't enjoy having to plug everything in. Actually, here's a better answer to the one piece of gear that I couldn't live without, and it exactly ties into this, is there are so many things to charge, even if you don't have wireless shifting. A lot of people have that. I don't. I still have all wired shifting. There are so many things. I usually have a headlight and a tail light. A lot of times I carry a headlight and tail light spare on my rides. And then you have your cycling computer. Then you got your phone. You got if you wear some headphones or things like that. So, you've got maybe 8-9 things to charge at the end of a long ride. It's hard to find enough outlets in the house. So what I ended up doing is I just went on Amazon and I found a 40 USB, like you just plug one cord into the wall. It's this giant like USB bank that I can plug up to 40 things into. It has a fan and it like monitors power input and things like that, so it won't cause a fire. That was one thing I looked into with it. But it is honestly so nice to just, I have one spot in the house. Everything that I unplug goes right there. All the cables are there. All I have to do is flip the switch on. It charges overnight. In the morning, I shut it off. I know that's all, ready to go next time I ride. That is so nice. Almost never do I, go to a ride and, I forgot to charge something. If I didn't charge something, it was just because, I was stupid enough to not plug literally everything in. But it makes it so easy to do it that it makes it, hard to forget.
I do remember your little USB deal at Ragbri. We were using that. That was handy.
It was perfect for that too. If you're going on a group trip or wherever, like, shoot, if you've got family members that are all on vacation and y'all need to charge stuff in a hotel room even, it's kind of like you just bring it along and everybody plugs all their stuff in. You don't have to worry about finding a bunch of outlets.
Or stealing chargers from one another.
Yeah, it's great.
It's been in a fight or two with that. So this wouldn't be the Local Legends cycling podcast if we didn't ask you if you had any Local Legend titles.
I only have one right now. And I'm disappointed in myself because I normally have the like West Emma East on Emma Avenue.
I stole that from Caleb the other day.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess we've all been riding through there enough. And you live on that road, or like coming down that road.
I live a couple streets down from Emma.
I just use that road every time I go. Well, not every time. Recently, I've sometimes been taking the Greenway because the trail now comes out towards my house. But I used to always take that road 2 times to go into Taco Tuesday every Tuesday. So, I do it at least, I think Local Legends is based on the last 90 rolling days. Mm-hmm. So, that was probably 6 times or so I'd have at least, plus whatever other group rides. So I used to always have that one. I don't anymore. Right now, the only one I have is Mount South to Woodcliff Climb. I guess. I don't know. Where's this at even? It's in Springdale. And what road does it come off of? I don't know.
They're 265 off of what is that?
It's on Mountain Road. I'm trying to see what it comes off of here. It's not.
Wouldn't that come off Cowface Road?
Wagon Wheel.
Wagon Wheel.
Interesting. I don't know when I rode that. But I guess I hold that. And I've had one effort in the last 90 days.
So
and
that
somehow
means you're the only person that's rode that in the last 90 days.
Somehow I am the only person to have ridden that road. So
that was interesting because whenever we started the Couch to Century, what was that, like tail end of May or first part of May? I rode out there by Silent Grove Road, and I had within like the third time or fourth time I rode that, I was the local legend. I was like, surely there's more people that ride up and down this road.
Yeah.
Because it's not a bad little cut through town.
True. I do have 3 KOMs.
Yeah, I know you're trying for that fourth one.
Yeah. The one that you have?
Yeah.
Yeah, I legitimately haven't gone and looked to see what it is because I could go look it up, but I'm not going to come steal it just to steal it.
Well, I was looking at the stats of that the other day.
I mean, here's my top 10s list. Like, if I really wanted to go hunting, I could go hunting, but it's not what I want to do with my time.
Right.
The ones that annoy me, they don't really annoy me. It's good for all these people, but it'll be when like we're doing a group ride and it's like me and a friend of mine, and we'll just be riding next to each other. And this happens to Caleb and I, or, other friends. We'll just be riding, going the same speed. And it says like one of us did it 30 seconds faster than the other person, or, maybe even just a couple seconds faster. And it's like, we rode this together. Why did they get the KOM and I am not anywhere on the list,
Better equipment.
Well, we were literally, I guess better computer or whatever. Yeah. I've got my cheapo Lesign computer.
Yeah.
Lesign needs to have better support for their computers. Anyways.
Fair.
No, I think they're going to discontinue them because their most recent product offering that's a computer mount shows a Wahoo computer in the advertisement, not a Lesign computer. So I'm like, why would you do that if you have your own line of computers? So I think they're going to get rid of them.
That's sad. Well, they would make a good headlamp.
They do, yeah. Their headlights are definitely ones I recommend. There's a couple other companies I've seen now, and they're all expensive. Like, granted, if you're going to get a nice light, it's going to be expensive. I think it's totally worth it. Lesign has been pretty good bang for buck in terms of, lumens and length and reliability. I've had great success with my Lesign lights. It's usually what I push people towards.
Yeah. My only gripe is that they don't come with a GoPro mount out of the box. That's literally the only thing I have to gripe about it.
Yep, and that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be nice, but I just bought the offhand GoPro mount. And
yeah, I need to break down and just order one off of Amazon. But, I said that a year ago, and here I am.
Yeah. Yeah, I hate having anything wrapped around my bars that's not like a permanent mount. So, like, all their ones with, like, the straps and things, like, I was really excited to not have those.
Yeah, well, I like being able to clip mine on my helmet, because then everything you're looking at is lit up, and you're able... your eyes don't have to readjust all the time.
Yeah. The one thing, well, there's two things that a helmet light, I think, isn't always great for. One is when you look at signs and you have a helmet light, it reflects really bright back to your eyes. Mm-hmm. So that can be annoying. The other thing is, and I saw this on a running forum while I was doing some training stuff for the Ironman, actually, is if you have a helmet or a head-mounted light, it makes it harder to spot things like potholes because it lights it directly from your own vantage point. Whereas if you have something from your waist or like from the handlebars of the bike, it'll cast shadows where there are things like holes or rocks or things. And so for that reason, I kind of like having the bike mounted light most of the time. If I'm going through like somewhere turning on the greenway, I'll turn on the headlamp light, but I think I prefer having it off the helmet if I'm just like on the road and I'm not going through a lot of turns, just so that I can see some of those like road debris better than I can with a helmet light.
Makes sense.
But it is nice, like you can't replace being able to look to your left and, you know, actually be able to see to your left and not into the shadows, you know. So that there's definitely a benefit there.
For sure. All right. Where can people find you at? Like Instagram.
I have an Instagram. It's _Colby _ Richardson _
And then you got your band's Instagram as well, right?
Yeah, we have it's at Maple Street Band. We play music sometimes. We're coming out with an album, so watch out for that. And you can find me on Strava, Colby Richardson.
And he is not on Facebook.
No, I am. I do have a Facebook. I just don't expect me to friend you back because I just use it to find rides. So
that's why I was sarcastic.
Yeah. That's true. Family will get on there because they'll see my name and they'll like wish me happy birthday, and I just don't respond because I don't want to set the precedent that I have to respond.
Right.
So I'm a terrible family member, and I'm sorry to all of my family. Call me. We'll talk on the phone instead of sending Facebook messages.
Yeah. Well, that's the part. I don't know. I think I've got family to the far winds, you know.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah.
They're across like 3 or 4, 5 time zones.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, that makes sense. For that, it's good.
Yeah, it's good. But like if you're in the same time zone, call me.
Yeah. I'm just a big believer in the dead internet theory at this point, and Facebook is absolutely dead at this point. It's just all AI slop, and I hate being on that website.
It's pretty bad. About the only good thing that's come from AI is those Bigfoot videos.
Yeah, those are funny.
Those are hysterical.
You can stop looking for Bigfoot. He exists now, and it's AI.